Hello viewers, I welcome you to this week's lesson preview. I'm your own brother Bivon, who is taking you through some short notes and lessons that we get from our week's lesson. This quarter, we are talking about making friends for God, which is essentially witnessing. And we have been able to see in the past two lessons on why witness and the power of personal witnessing. Why do we witness? We do this because of nothing else, but because we have received something great in our life, something that has made a difference in your life and my life, that we feel in our heart that we ought to share with our friends and all those people we have to encounter. But many times we ask ourselves, how are we going to do this? Then today, friends, I'm going to invite you that we may follow Jesus, even for a bit, as we see how he approached his mission and how he saw people in his time. Why do I invite you to follow Jesus? It's because he's the master soul winner, and essentially that's the activity that he has left us to do in this world. So this week's lesson talks about how we're going to see our friends, our family, the people we don't know through the eyes of Jesus. Do you like to have a proper and a better prospect of how God sees people? Then I invite you today to start seeing people through the eyes of Jesus. The important themes that we're going to look into this week's lesson are as follows. The first theme that we're going to see is that we are going to see people through the eye of divine compassion. When Jesus was on earth, he walked on the hills, on the valleys, on the rugged and rocks of this earth that we behold day to day. And in his walking, he encountered various and many needy cases. So he was able to empathize with them. He was able to show respect to them. He was able to heal them. He wasn't doing this because of humanitarian act, but he was doing this because of God's love. Christ was able to see the really value of each and every individual that he came across to because of the divine compassion. He was able to touch them. He was able to hear their cries, that at the end of the day, they felt the love that was flowing freely from heaven. The second theme that we're going to learn about is seeing people through heaven's eye. Dear friends, God sees you and each and every person that you encounter in a day-to-day encounter as a candidate for heaven. God sees you and whoever else that you may think with the potential that God has given to you to be a witness in this world. The last thing that we're going to look into or to study this week is all about seeing people through the eye of spiritual opportunity. No matter when and where you are, there is a who that is waiting to hear the what and why of salvation. But how are you going to do that? We need to get connected with the Holy Spirit as Jesus was. We need to keep our eyes open that we may be able to behold people clearly with a proper perspective as God sees them. Jesus Christ, we read of many stories and encounters in the Bible. In these encounters, we have many lessons that we ought to learn from them as we follow him for a bit to know how he was able to see people. But the lesson starts off with a story of a blind man who was brought in by his friends. For one, the key points that we are going to study from here is that for one reason or another, many people don't or won't come to Jesus by their own. The blind man was brought to Jesus by his friends. We really can't tell whether the man believed that Jesus will help him, but his friends believed. They begged and cried to Jesus to have mercy upon him. And since Jesus is not indifferent for such cries, he healed the man. But it took 2 touches for the man to be well. The first touch, when Christ touched this man, the man was seeing people as trees walking around. But when he touched him the second time, the man was able to see clearly. Friends, could it be that we are seeing people as trees walking around? Jesus was looking through the person, through the outside shell that we can be able to behold, that can be damaged physically, emotionally, and mentally. He was not looking at our cliches, our slogan, our partnership, or our weird reactions and our pretense we so often have. But he was seeing through our internal desire, the longing and need in each and every person. He was not seeing people of who they were pretending to be, but who they were able to become. The second encounter was a surprise to many. Jesus surprised everyone when he encountered and approached the Samaritan woman at the well. Not only the Samaritan woman was a wrong gender, but she was the wrong ethnicity, the wrong political party, the wrong theology, the wrong church, and everything was wrong in human eyes. But it was so different through the eyes of Jesus. The author of the lesson noted this as a lesson or labeled this as a lesson in acceptance. A very difficult lesson to learn. Until this point, the lesson was interesting and even powerful for me. But then it said that I should start practicing this wherever I am. Not here in YouTube, not in WhatsApp, not in Twitter or Facebook, but with people around me. Then it talks about dealing with difficult people. This got very practical. And it made it difficult to talk about without being hypocritical for some sense. Are you a protester? Are you a fighter for social justice? Are you someone who is offended for being labeled all sorts of names, or for being labeled a racist? Does it feel that nobody cares to hear your side of the story? Do we have some difficult conversations to have today? We need to spend time and more time to look at people through the eyes of Jesus. Dealing with people can be intimidating, especially in difficult times and circumstances as of today. But the lesson is encouraging us to see or to stay open for opportunities God opens. He needs our witnessing and our testimony. It is not about our capability, dear friends. Imagine, Philip was willing and God took him to the Ethiopian eunuch. Are you willing? And are you going to look at people through the eyes of Jesus? It is the call that the lesson is making as it ends. There are various changes that it's going to bring when you see people through the eyes of Jesus. Here are the three changes that you may behold as you start seeing people through the eyes of Jesus. Your focus will be to introduce another person to Jesus. As Andrew, who is not a leader anywhere, but is noted bringing people to Jesus. Another change that is going to happen in your life is that you're going to have opportunities. You will take every opportunity to lead another person to Jesus. Take, for example, the blind man friends. Another change that is going to happen in your life is you are going to share Jesus where you are. Acts 1:8, God said, or Christ told them to start from where they were. I welcome you to join me again for our lesson preview come next week, of which interceding for others. Don't fail to subscribe for you to be notified each and every moment we are able to upload the video. May God bless you.